Hi, this is Kimberly. I've put this little video together to go along with the Jeremy and Jennifer Lindstrom, those couple of videos I've put out earlier. I just figured I would continue on with the Jeremy and Jennifer Lindstrom theme. I've brought to you a couple of videos that they starred in, I guess you could say. One is a local news report from Denver 7, and the other, I could only find the partial interview. They may have done it with the Today Show or Nightline or something, but I can only find the part Megyn Kelly, when she briefly had a show that came on after the Today Show, she featured a segment about bird brain and presented part of a Lindstrom interview. I used way too many words to spit that out. I'm sorry, but I'm not going to fix it. Fuck that shit. I'm going to show you that segment to go along with it. I had used both of these clips as background when I did my voiceovers for the other two Lindstrom and family videos. Gotta love Caden. Bless his heart. Some people said the Lindstroms did not really say anything bad. I agree Jennifer did not. Jeremy, he got rolling with some stupid shit. What if she came home and said, the baby's not yours? I've spent the summer in North Carolina with the real baby's dad. Why would you say that to a CBI agent, for God's sakes? Tell them what you know. That's not helpful at all, unless you knew that Shanann happened to be a trollop, which she was not. Hickey was, but not Shanann. That's never come out, now has it? This is how fucking rumors get started, Jeremy, saying shit like that. For God's sakes, good God Almighty, son, now we know how the rumor mill got started. I am by no means a cactus expert, but I do know a prick when I see one. In closing, hope you enjoy these brief little clips, and if I find any more, I'll bring them to you. A couple of people ask about it, so much love and peace. Hope you're having a wonderful day. Always know that Kimberly loves you. Much love and peace. Thank you for listening.
We begin today with a shocking story out of suburban Colorado. This was on the Today Show earlier, and everyone was in my dressing room looking at the screen, speechless. Have you heard about this story? Monday, a man reported his pregnant wife and two young daughters missing. He went on TV, including on NBC, expressing his worry and concern. Last night, police arrested him. And 33-year-old Chris Watts reportedly confessed to killing his entire family. NBC's Miguel Almaguer has the latest on the investigation.
The quiet suburban home where Shanann Watts and her two daughters were last seen alive becoming a crime scene overnight. A law enforcement source telling our Denver affiliate, KUSA, Chris Watts has now confessed to killing his pregnant wife and their two little girls, 3-year-old Celeste and 4-year-old Bella. A confession apparently coming just days after they were first reported missing Monday afternoon. Watts doing media interviews playing the victim.
It just seems like I'm living in a nightmare and I can't get out of it. I just want them home so bad.
Watts spoke to KUSA hours after he claimed his wife and children vanished.
I have no idea where they went. And it's just earth-shattering. I don't feel like this is even real right now.
3 days after asking for the public's help, the alleged stunning confession. According to local media, Watts also reportedly telling investigators he would lead them to their bodies. NBC News has not yet confirmed that report.
We're missing some people out of the neighborhood, a mother and her small children.
Just hours earlier, police officially listing the trio as endangered, circulating their photos to neighbors in a small suburb outside Denver.
There's a lot at stake here, and we are exploring all avenues in order to not rule anything out.
Questioned by friends and family, Watts stuck to this story. He said his pregnant wife came home from a business trip at 2 a.m. Monday. The couple having an emotional conversation before he left for work at 5 a.m. Watts says his wife wasn't responding to text messages and never answered the front door for a friend who stopped by. Early clues say loved ones, something was wrong.
She had left her phone at home, her purse, her wallet, all of her money, her ID.
I just want them people to know that I want my family back. Like, I want them safe, and I want them here.
Overnight, Shanann's brother writing on Facebook, "I just want to know why. My precious family, Bella, Celeste, and her just found out unborn son, Nico. I just want 30 seconds alone with that heartless psychopath."
My husband and I had 2 beautiful girls.
This morning, a pregnant mother and her 2 baby girls gone. Her husband, a young father, soon to be charged with their murders.
It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. And again, the NBC affiliate out in the area, KUSA, reporting that he's confessed to this crime. The on-camera statements by the husband, you know, the acting that we now know he was doing, at least according to what's being reported. It reminds me of Laci Peterson.
Yes. Scott Peterson, Susan Smith. You remember that she gave the big press conference of my baby is being killed, and it turned out she had driven them herself into a lake to drown them. Just watching that, Megyn, I had shivers.
Yeah.
Like, what a psychopath. Posting those things on Facebook. I wonder if what happened was that the cops had evidence that he just couldn't refute.
There's a news conference scheduled for about 10 a.m. local time, so we should find out a little bit more there. But it's, you know, it's the timeline that they showed there in the piece, Miguel's story. I'm interested in that emotional conversation that they had at 4 a.m. after she got home from that business trip.
As soon as you admit to that.
Yeah.
Because, you know, the truth is, statistically, 99% of the time it is the spouse. I mean, it just is if you look at these cases. And so then with those odds and then openly confessing before they had zeroed in on him, you know, before he had come out and reportedly confessed that they had this emotional conversation in the middle of the night, and that's all he was going to say about it. I'm sure the cops were all over anything about his story. And I don't know whether they searched the house or they found forensics.
But we also don't know whether they've actually found the bodies as well. So
there was a report, the same report said that he had agreed to lead them to the bodies. Yeah. But I mean, that it's your worst nightmare that someone that close to you could be a sociopath, right? Potentially could be capable of that kind of act.
And so often in stories like this, I feel like the one who does it ends up also killing himself.
Yeah.
So for him to show so little remorse, and now when you see those interviews after the fact, after he's already confessed to it, you wonder if there was a bigger issue within the family that the wife knew about.
We're definitely going to learn more. There's going to be some sort of red flag.
Remember, in her case, she just wanted to date someone else and didn't want kids, you know, weighing her down. I mean, it's really
that was down in Union, South Carolina, back in the mid-'90s, and that was, if you really think about it, that was actually sort of the first high-profile case where we saw a parent admit to killing their children. It seems as if since then, this is something that, unfortunately, every few months you hear of some despicable story of a parent killing the other parent, the children.
Yeah, like those women who drove off the cliff in California. Remember that one? And, you know, we ask when we see something like this, why? You know, you want to know why, as if anything will satisfy that question.
Right. Well, because you look at the picture of the family, and they look like the perfect family. Yeah. This beautiful family. She's pregnant with their third. You just can't put it together.
But can I ask? I'm curious what the audience thinks. Like when you see the guy on camera in what we now know to be acting. You know, I mean, now we know that he's been arrested. Did you believe when you look at that body language? I don't know. I kind of believed he sounded credible. What do you guys think? Yeah, everybody's nodding their head yes.
I think there's also, I think there's just a realistic assumption that if a spouse is going to talk to a reporter, that, you know, he probably didn't commit the crime.
Don't you like to believe that you would know when someone's lying, you know? Like, remember Susan Smith, but she didn't have tears? Do you remember that? That made, and every mother on earth was like, if that were, God forbid, my children, you couldn't stop the tears. And I realize you don't always cry in the midst of a trauma. Right. Sometimes, you know, you're just numb. But I don't know. To me, if I'd seen that yesterday without knowing anything, I might have thought, okay. And same, like, remember, I don't know. I just go back to Scott Peterson, and he got his in the end. And hopefully justice will be served in this case as well.
Chris Watts took the girls to a birthday party just a few miles from there.
Yeah, Tom, a kid's birthday party just down the road. Everything was fine. Everything was great. Or so it all appeared that way. At the Lindstrom home in Erie tonight, a lingering question that's not easy to answer.
You know, the hardest part about it all is when you're closer with the family, it's the why. The why gets bigger.
Why did Jeremy's good friend, Chris Watts, allegedly murder his entire family?
We're dumbfounded. We don't get it. Lost.
Chris and the girls, 4-year-old Bella and 3-year-old Celeste, were just here for Jeremy's little boy's birthday party. The girls were happy. They were normal. So was Chris, or so it appeared.
I mean, he would reach out and help anybody that needed help with anything. He was a good mechanic. If you needed help with your car, he'd help you. If you need help moving furniture, he'd be over there in a heartbeat to help you out. You don't know what, when, why, where, how everything goes weird.
When did it all go so weird, so wrong? Like the bizarre interview Chris gave us a day after his family's disappearance.
If somebody has her and they're not safe, like, I want them back now. I had every light in the house on. I was hoping that I would just ran over by the kids running in the door and just like barrel rushing me, but it didn't happen.
We now know that was never going to happen. But for Jeremy, the why is still incredibly painful to comprehend.
Just horrible. Why do people do this? Why does it come down to this? Had to have been an easier route.
And check out the growing memorial outside the family's home tonight. A very nice tribute to those little girls and the mother. This neighborhood on the far western edge of Frederick still reeling from this tragedy. We're live tonight. Russell Haythorne, Denver 7.
We begin today with some dramatic new details in this heartbreaking story out of Colorado. Today, Chris Watts will be arraigned on multiple first-degree murder charges. He's accused of killing his pregnant wife and their 2 young daughters. The police are now revealing some stunning new information about Watts, a possible motive, and what he is now claiming happened that night. NBC's Miguel Almaguer has the latest on the story. Watch this.
Just hours from now, Chris Watts will face a judge to be arraigned for the murders of his pregnant wife and 2 little girls. In a newly released affidavit, we're now hearing his version of what he claims happened. According to police, Watts said after his wife arrived home in the middle of the night, he told her he wanted to go through with a separation, and they were both upset and crying.
I want her back so bad. I want those kids back so bad.
The next day, he told the world his family was missing. Then, a stunning confession to police, Watts changing his story. He said after talking to his wife about splitting up, he saw her on their baby monitor, actively strangling Celeste, their 3-year-old, and their 4-year-old Bella was already sprawled out on her bed and blue. Watts said he went into a rage and ultimately strangled Shanann to death, claiming his pregnant wife killed their children, so he killed her. But the DA doesn't buy it.
We endeavor to do a complete, thorough investigation on every case.
After the murders, Watts says he loaded the bodies into his truck and dumped them at this oil field where he worked, later leading investigators there. Celeste and Bella found in a well filled with oil, his wife nearby in a shallow grave.
Keep the prayers coming for our family.
In the affidavit, authorities say they also found Watts was having an affair with a co-worker, which he denied.
He's the best thing that has ever happened to me.
Jeremy and Jennifer Lindstrom were with Chris, Bella, and Celeste hours before the murders. He's now listed as a potential witness in the case.
There's no way I would have thought this was the outcome.
They were just here. And they were just playing, and they didn't know, and they didn't deserve it. I'm glad they got to have a fun day.
A husband, police say, who killed his wife and daughters, then blamed their mother for their murders.
Oh, I mean, it's all anybody is talking about when they look at the morning news, because it's just so shocking, and it breaks every covenant of marriage and love and parenthood.
Just when you think the story isn't going to get any worse, it gets worse, and he blames his wife. Now, We don't know what happened. The DA obviously doesn't believe him, but I got to tell you, I mean, I cover a lot of terrible stories and a lot of the bad things that people do to each other. I actually can't watch this. My girls are around the same age. I have a really hard time watching it.
The odds of there being 2 cold-blooded killers in the family willing to take the lives of their loved ones, I mean, you tell me, what are the odds of that? More than likely, that man's a sociopath whose ego is out of check, who has the ability to lie and manipulate that is unlike any normal citizen, and who feels no empathy. There's no way. It's like a Scott Peterson situation all over again. That's what the police are telling us, that this guy was having an affair, he wanted a different life, and he didn't want that wife, and he didn't want those children. You tell me, if the wife was the one who was taking the lives of these little girls, and he was so enraged, he only took one life, why he was so disrespectful to the bodies of his children. Any man who is actually in that situation doesn't take their children to an oil well and leave their bodies there to decompose alone without even a blessing.
And to have no emotion, because the interview with him happened after everything happened.
Right. That was his performance for us.
Exactly.
Yes, that horrifying clip of him saying, "I want them back," when in fact what he's not telling us, what he's not sharing with us, is that he knows exactly where they are and that he has disgraced their memory.
And doesn't seem angry at that point.
Right. I mean, it's amazing still to me, though, as a human being, just to see the acting. You know, I think we tend to give people the benefit of the doubt, even though 9 times out of 10 when somebody disappears and it's a spouse, it's the other spouse. I mean, those are the stats. It's even higher than that. And yet you see somebody who willingly goes on camera and you want to believe, right? Because you don't want to believe that the husband could do it. And the thing is, the mom came home at 1 a.m. from a business trip. Here's this mom, 15 weeks pregnant. She comes home from a business trip. And between 1 a.m. and 5 a.m., he murdered her. That's what the police are saying. And the girls. So it's like, what happened in that house at 1 a.m. when everyone in the house was presumably asleep?
We pick up on these signs. The first day when that story was done and he came out and we still didn't know where the family was, I was sitting in the makeup room, which we do in the morning for the Today Show, and everyone's talking about the stories. And almost everyone in that room said, look at that guy. I don't believe what he's saying. We all are very perceptive. And the lack of emotion that day, I think, resonated with anyone who watched it.
I didn't go there. I actually thought he's numb. I mean, he's had this hideous news. You just never know how people are going to seem. And maybe I'm just too gullible, but I was like, I don't know. I still feel like, how could a father do that to the kids?
Because it's completely unbelievable. And then it is completely unbelievable that having done this, he has the temerity to go out there and give that interview and say, please, I want them back. That's so chilling.
Yeah.
We watch that now, and it's an utter horror.
And it's not something we can understand, because someone who has the capacity to ever do that in the first place is of a different mind.
We can't understand.
Being. We can't
and then
understand.
You think about the poor neighbors who, I don't know if it was the same 2 neighbors that Miguel had in his piece, but 2 neighbors took him in, because it happened late on a Monday night.
And showed him sympathy and tried to help.
Yes, right. and he was not arrested till Wednesday. And so they took him in like, oh, the poor guy, he's going through a terrible time. And they have a child. And they were saying, oh, my God, we had this guy in our house. I mean, the whole thing is such a cautionary tale. And it makes you, not us, not sitting here, but like there are others out there right now who might be married to sociopaths. And it's like, how do we know?
And you don't know.
How do we know? Because they're such skilled manipulators. You need to be some sort of human lie detector to be able to know, look like the Lacey and Scott case.